Darth Raven 0990. So, okay. If your players are waiting for the perfect opportunity to shoot, so they're not pulling the trigger because they're just not confident in their, because right, it's because they haven't got into the practice habit of shooting, right, just putting the ball on frame. So the question is, okay, how do I design a practice where we can facilitate, how do we encourage players to just pull the trigger and not think so much about waiting for the perfect time, right? It's like there's never a perfect time. Well, they say there's never a perfect time to kind of plan a childbirth, but like, so what does that practice routine look like, right? Because you can't just have a practice routine where all you do is shooting for the whole practice. I mean, you could, but you're kind of neglecting, right? You're neglecting possession. You're neglecting, transitioning from attacking to defending. So this is the routine that my former coach, this is Doug Nevin's practice routine. He coached me for 2 seasons. He was former Gatorade Coach of the Year. I still believe he coached at West Orange High School. And it's I loved his coaching routines because they were so simple. And we did the same 4 things every practice. And within the practice, there's 3 different opportunities that kind of encourage shooting on goal and creating scoring opportunities, right? So the practice looked like this. Every practice was the same. It was warm up. Well, let me take a step back. Actually, when we started getting into practice, some players would start juggling, and some players would do 2v5, right? 2 versus 5 keep away. And then once everyone started to do 2v5 keep away, that's when we got into team warm up, right? So we had team warm up. Then we went right into possession. From possession, we went into finishing on goal. Now this is where you want to listen up. Okay, so what does finishing on goal look like? Doug would call this Slotsville. Slotsville. Slotsville is when you slot the ball in the side netting, right? Low and hard on the ground. And we did this for about 10 minutes. So the line starts about 10 paces from the top of the 18. Players would all line up with the ball, and then it's a hard run, right? They run as fast as they can and finish low and hard on the ground in the side netting. And you want to have your team, right? If they start and miss the goal, you want to tell them, make the keeper make a save, right? If you miss the goal, if your strikers or your whole team for that matter is missing the entire goal, you're giving the goalkeeper a free save. So you want to make sure that shot is on frame. Make the keeper make a save. Also, this is psychologically demanding. This is hard on some goalkeepers, right? It's like back to back of just the especially if you've got you start to get into a nice rhythm where your players can start to finish, right? If a goalkeeper, all they're seeing is rapid fire lasers on the ground and they're getting these goals scored against them, you want to tell your goalkeepers, right, just pop in and out as you please, right? Or if you have one, right, you don't need a goalkeeper for this finishing drill. It's just about low hard finishes on the ground in the side netting. Now about maybe you could say a little past halfway, what Doug would transition to is Volleysville. Volleysville is, so Doug would stand, right, 10 paces in the same exact spot that you're going to start from Slotsville, but with a little bit of a difference. So we would hand him the ball. He would be facing towards the goal, and the players would start with their backs to the goal. He would throw the ball over our heads. And keep in mind, our practices were usually on a turf field, right? We played in PDA, which is Zarephath, New Jersey, and we were blessed to have access to 2 turf fields, which we usually trained on. So we had a nice bounce, right? So he would throw the ball over our heads. We would turn around, and then we'd catch the bounce, one bounce, and then snap a volley right on goal, right? Nice and easy. And so we would do that for about another 5 more minutes. So that's 15 minutes total of finishing on goal right after possession. So again, it's 2v5, right? This is the pre-warm-up, then team warm-up, then possession, finishing on goal, and then we went right into crossing and finishing. Crossing and finishing, simple. 4 lines, right? 2 finishing lines that would zigzag, that would cross their runs to finish on goal, and then 2 crossing lines that would alternate, right? Right side goes, then left side goes. Right side goes, left side goes. And then each time one side would go, you'd have players in the middle, crisscross their runs, finish on goal. All 4 lines would start just about the halfway line. And you want to have the crossing lines start a little bit offset, right? A little bit ahead of the finishers, right? Because the cross in theory is going to come in before the finishers come in, right? The players who finish on goal, you want that cross to come in a little bit before they get there. Another thing is you want to make sure that the wingers who are crossing the ball they have a slightly curved run, right? They curve the run slightly to make it easier to cross the ball in the penalty box, and then 1-touch finish, no whistles, right? No whistles. I mean, you can if you want to, but that's, Doug just never. It was always like rapid fire, right? The whole practice was a very high tempo, and it kind of was designed that way because we never stopped for water, right? Or bathroom breaks. It was just like, if you needed to go get water or you needed to go to the bathroom, you just do it. So that's crossing and finishing. And, you might need to stop 2 to 3 times to reset the lines, right? Bring balls to the left and the right crossing lines, and then pull them out from maybe past the goal if you don't have a backstop behind your goal, or pull them from the goal, assuming that you scored. So you might need to do that 2 or 3 times. And then you go right into, you split your team up into 3 teams, right? This is a very important part. You split your team up into 3 teams, and then you're playing to big goals on a small field. And then the team that's sitting out, you want them surrounding the field as neutral players with 1 touch. And why this is important is because when you have players on the outside with 1 touch, it keeps them engaged. And secondly, the most important reason is because if you just have 2 teams playing against each other and one team scores the goal on the other, there's nothing gained and there's nothing lost. But if you have 3 teams and one team scores a goal on the other team and then they have to get off, now you've created this dynamic, this king of the hill dynamic that elevates, right? It elevates the competition intensity level of the practice and of your team. And if you can raise your training level to a place where every team you face, right, if your training intensity and competition level is higher than the teams you face, you're going to have a great season, because it's rare that your playing intensity of games, which is a reflection of the intensity from practice, it's rare that your team will have a higher training intensity in a game, playing intensity in a game, and lose the game, right? That's very rare. So some problems you might come across when you're playing to big goals on a small field, right? You want to have it small enough where there's a goal scored every, no more than 4 minutes. It should be a goal scored every 2 to 4 minutes, because the goals are so close that if there's someone makes a nice move, or someone loses a mark, or there's a great spell of play, right, great movement off the ball to create an open shot, right? It's a fast transition between offense and defense, which kind of really helps, right? Big goals brought on a small field really encourages fast gameplay, and it really ups the tempo of play so that it's going to make it so that you're just going to see more goals scored and more shots taken in games, right? That's what you want. More SOGs, more shots on goal. And it's like, right, I still think about this training routine, and this is like, I'm 33 years old, and we would do this. We did this routine. Doug did this routine with us for 2 years straight. So what's 18, right? So 10 years ago, I'm like still missing this routine. This routine is like 15. It's like I can remember it like it was yesterday. That's how much fun this routine is, because it's so simple, and as you start to repeat it over and over and over, your players will get better and better and better at it. Right? A lot of coaches think they need to switch up they need complex drills, or they need to like come up with these new crazy drills with all these moving parts. You don't. You need simple drills that are repeatable and fun, and that's it. Because they're those simple ones that are repeatable. It's like possession, finish on goal, crossing and finishing, and then you put it all together with three teams going at each other's, battling to play, to see who stays on the field, and you gotta let your team pick the teams, because then it becomes it's a truly a reflection of who the best players are, especially if it's like King of the Hill style. You want the best players. I don't even care if even if players don't like each other. In theory, they'll still pick the best players, even though if they're not friends off the field, they'll still pick you want the best players on your team, because you don't want to spend 1 second off the field as a bumper player, right? So if you don't have access to big goals, or you don't have access, maybe you don't have enough goalkeepers, you could do sweeper keeper, right? Roman goalkeeper, the last player defensively gets access to his hands. Or if you have numbers that aren't perfect for three teams, you could leave one player on, maybe your star midfielder, as a neutral player for all the teams. You can, if you don't have access to big goals, you could do two. Each team could have, or whatever team doesn't have a big goal, you could have two sets of cones that are spaced far apart, so that this is going to force the attacking team to switch the point of attack if one side is blocked off by defenders, and this forces the defending team to swing defenders over to defend the open goal while the attackers are trying to penetrate it, right? So those are, I think, the biggest problems that will come to mind. And, you want your field to be small enough where there's fast transition from offense to defense, but not so small where, you got to use your gut, right? Trust your gut for the size of the field, right? It shouldn't be, if a goal is, if it takes more than 4 minutes to score a goal, your field is too big. If a goal is being scored less than every 30 seconds, your field is too small. So over time, you'll develop the proper ratios to the number of players that you have. And besides that, you got to run this. You run this every single practice. Doug Nevins ran this practice with us as U17 boys and U18 boys, PDA Cruyff, and at U18 we were ranked number 1 in the country, and we lost in regionals against FC Delco. So, right, this is something that you could utilize with players who have the fundamentals down. If your players can juggle and dribble and connect passes, doesn't matter how old they are, you can use this coaching routine with them. And you could use this coaching routine with a college team too, right? It's a simple routine, easy to coach, easy, and it's fun, man. It's freaking fun because it's like it's just everything it's like all gameplay. It's like all game style play. So this is going to help you loosen up that shooting trigger for your team, because it's just going to flow, right? This whole thing is designed to just flow right into each other. Possession, finishing on goal, crossing and finishing, boom, right into gameplay, SOGs, more shots on goal. So hopefully this helps. Reach out with any questions. All right, thank you.